It's like in Mean Girls when you put your hand up like, have I ever bitched about a woman? It's very natural for girls to feel competitive and like jealous of each other. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, gossiping is so bad. Hey my little babes, and welcome back to my channel. I can't wait to just have a fun little girly chat today. This topic is something I wanted to talk about for such a long time, and that is female friendships. Like honestly, the last few years, especially being single, I have placed way more value and focus on my female friendships. They add so much value to my life and I love them more than anything in the world, but like, why are they so damn hard? I think I speak for all of us in saying it is such a difficult thing to navigate. It feels way different and sometimes even harder than romantic relationships. So we're just gonna delve right into that today. I definitely think pop culture has a lot to answer for and a lot to blame, because all female relationships are definitely put on a pedestal and shown to us in this romanticized, perfect light. Think Sex and the City. I'm not gonna say Gossip Girl because I feel like Serena and Blair were pretty toxic. Firefly Lane, even Dead to Me, like all of them, all of my favorite programs, best friends are depicted as this perfect, beautiful friendship. They're always there for you. Do you know what I mean? They get through conflict so easily. And I think that's maybe made us believe that that's how friendships should be. And as we know from all things in TV, it's just not reality. And sometimes it can actually be further from the truth. And I also think what makes it hard is there's this expectation that friends are always gonna be in your life no matter what. Whereas relationships, the Darrens, they kind of come and go, but friendships, we hold them at a higher expectation. Like I've noticed with people, like they kind of let their boyfriends off for a lot of shit, like a lot of shit. But if a friend does one thing, people cut them off so quickly. And I also feel like a friendship breakup can hurt way more than a romantic one. So I asked you guys over on my Instagram what you find hardest about female friendships, and today we're just gonna dive into it and I'm gonna give you all the advice I can, being a fresh 27 years old. I can't believe I'm actually 27. I feel like I have a lot to say on this topic, a lot of experiences. Most of the things you sent in, I was like, oh my god, I have first-hand experience. And I've gone through a lot of shit, basically. So I feel like I've got a lot of good advice to give. Let's just get into it, hun. I've got my cheeky iced coffee at the ready, always an integral part of any chatty video. And I feel like I'm always on the sofa now whenever I do these like longer videos. The first common one that was sent in a lot was being at different stages in life and finding it hard to find common ground and relate to each other. And sis, as we get older, I feel like this honestly just gets worse. Like when we're younger, we're all at school or college or our first jobs, we have so much to relate to each other about and commonalities. And as we get older, we go into different life stages, i.e. marriage. Some people are like getting married, buying houses, having babies at this age, and some people, i.e. me, are like waking up, well, not even waking up, but ending up in strangers' kitchens at 6 AM like, yo, what is happening with my life? So it can be hard. I definitely feel being single and being in a relationship, friends, it's very hard to navigate. It really is just a classic tale as old as time. This starts to hit any long-term friendship quite hard and quite quickly. I would say, like any relationship, you do really have to try for it to work. And when you don't have as much common ground, you need to find it. And also just allow people grace. Like if someone's getting married and you're not, like it's not rocket science. You can just be there for them and be excited for them. I do think with friendships, we don't need to have every single thing in our lives in common to get on. Like that's what makes it exciting. Like if I meet up with a friend and they're like, oh my god, I'm picking out a new paint for our baby's room or something, compared to me who's like still spending 5 months getting this house together. Like everyone is different, and like I said, it's the beauty of life and we just need to embrace it more. But I completely understand that it can be a little bit isolating and feel like you're growing apart. I also will say, my mum always says this to me and it's so true. Some people, you're closer with them at different times of your life, and that is fine. Like you don't need to have that one best friend that sort of understands everything you're going through at every time. You don't need that, because there will be different times that you are closer. Like when I was on my journey of not drinking as much and trying to be like wholesome and healing, there were some people I definitely resonated more who were already on that path, and it kind of became difficult to hang out with my friends who love to drink. But then as I've changed and been like a bit more okay with drinking and going out more, I've grown closer back to those friends or further away from these friends. Maybe that's a shit example, but you know what I'm trying to say, like it swings in roundabouts. Or there's times where like there was one of my close friends for 2 years, we just were not vibing. I think I was in a relationship, she was living her best single life. We were clashing, it didn't work, but long, good, true friendships will stand the test of time, and now we're like closer than ever. So I wouldn't be too disheartened if at right this second you're not at the same stage of life, because it might be that one time you are and then someone else gets left behind. It's just how life happens. We all change all the time, and we need to allow each other to do that but still remain friends. My advice would be just try and meet in the middle, understand them, help them to understand you, and do things that you do have in common. Like, remember why you were friends. Like, if you both loved, I don't know, going to a theme park, be like, yo, let's go to Fort Park. It's kind of like reigniting the spark of a friendship rather than a romantic relationship. But I do think it can just sort itself out if both parties are like committed to doing it. Because say someone has kids and you don't know, you might have kids one day and then want all their advice. So just stick it out, it'll be fine. The next one, this is stressful. Comparison, culture, and competition in friendships. I'm also gonna mix jealousy into this because I feel like they all part of the same category and they stem from the same reasons. It's very natural for girls to feel competitive and like jealous of each other. We are literally taught from a young age to compete with each other. It's really fucked. Like, it's not in our nature, but we see it all the time, and the whole pick me girl thing, it's natural that we're gonna want to be picked. And when our whole world is mostly our friends, the way we base our self-worth is sometimes competing with someone. And it's sad, but sometimes girls get a kick out of being like better than you. Like, if they think you're amazing, if they can do something that's better than you, that's validating for them, as sick as that sounds. And I think we all, it's like in Mean Girls when you put your hand up, like, have I ever bitched about a woman? It's like, have I ever been competitive or been jealous or done something to get one up on our friends? Like, most of us, if we were honest with ourselves, we can put our hands up and say yeah. And I think that's really important to recognize where you have done it in the past, and we all have. It's a lesson in growing up, especially in schools and in your young 20s. I think we act like this. Definitely after 25 I stopped doing this as much. I think it's all about healing the sister wound. You should definitely research it. It's like healing that desire to compete with other women and view them as our competition and be jealous of them. With jealousy, I think the main thing is recognizing why you were jealous, doing this in your own time. I found this really helpful when I journal, and I've got quite good with my jealousy, but there's still times where I'm like, I get that little feeling in my stomach, and it really is such a low vibrational feeling, being jealous or envious. I hate it, especially when it's with a friend you love and you're like, oh, why am I doing this? But the most important thing is to recognize it. Be like, why am I being jealous? Say, is it because she looks better than me, or she's getting more male attention? So, and then you work backwards from that. Like, why does that trigger you? Why does it trigger you that you feel someone looks better than you? And you'll always work out it's an issue to do with yourself. Like, okay, maybe I'm not feeling great, or I don't have a lot of self-love at the moment, or my worth is really low, so of course one of my friends looking great is gonna make me feel shit. Like, you really need to be very self-aware, and that will help all of your relationships going forward. And most of the time when you just write it out or like compartmentalize it in your head, you actually don't feel that jealous anymore. You're like, oh my god, I'm being so silly. And also the other way, if you feel like a friend's being jealous of you or being weird with you because of jealousy, I know it's really hard to admit someone is jealous of you, but I definitely think you can tell, like, when they're making little remarks or being a bit offish with you, you're like, okay, yeah, you're being jealous. Or when they're not congratulating you when you're doing something well. Like, recognize sometimes people are just really struggling. We really have to have a lot more empathy for each other. I've had friends who I thought were like being off with me, like 2 years later say to me like, oh, I really struggled when I started becoming successful and moving to London, because that's what they wanted to do. Like, they wanted to move to London and they didn't, and then it all starts becoming clear. You're like, okay, that's why you were being a fucking bitch to me. So we just have to understand, like, everyone's going through their own shit, and you don't know what you're triggering in them just by being yourself. It could even be like, you know, someone really wants a baby and you've done a baby announcement, but it is also on that person to work it out on their own and figure it out. Also, a good thing to realize is we all have a different times to shine. Like, we all bloom in different ways and we're all good at different things. So it's recognizing your strengths on your own and being confident with them. Like, it's the same thing with all these flowers together. They're all different, but they all look beautiful. That is you and your friends. Like, don't focus on all the things they have, and you don't like focus on the things that you're amazing at. And then also remember why you love your friend so much and why you want to have her around, instead of just trying to make things a weird competition. Like, that's so draining and so boring. We're all amazing and beautiful in our own way. It's like on some nights out, you know, and like one of your friends is just looking banging and like all the boys are coming up to her and you're like, oh damn, that was her night. But then there might be another night where you're looking banging, everyone's coming up to you. Like, it's the same in life. Like, sometimes it's someone's year and they're getting promotions and engagements, and sometimes it's not. Like, that is just how things work. We all just need to be a little bit nicer and supportive of each other, because once you get over that jealousy, that's when your friendships will blossom. Okay, the next one was sent in a lot. This one is changing when they get a partner. Now, this happens to, like, I would say 80% of people, because it's a natural, huge life shift. Like, going from single to being with someone, your life changes completely. Like, it does. I know people are like, I'm not going to be different, or I'm not different. It's not that you're different, it's that your priorities have changed. Like, say you're someone's best friend, you see them every weekend, or you see them all the time and they're texting you all the time. That then goes to their boyfriend. Like, I'm ashamed to say it, I'm a lot closer with my friends now that I don't have a partner. Like, when I'm planning things only with my friends, whereas before I was like, okay, well, this weekend I've got to spend with blah, 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 then I'll spend it with you. And it did just get harder. So we can't be angry with people when that happens, because also when you get a boyfriend, you just want your friends to be happy for you. And when they're getting like salty and being like, you've changed, it's shit as well. It's hard on both sides, and we have to just be nice to each other throughout this change, because in the honeymoon stage, when they're really loved up, it's quite hard to, you know, get your friends' time and attention. You just have to let them enjoy it, because love does that to people. Love makes these bitches crazy. But I also understand as the friend, it can feel like such a big loss. Like, it feels like you've lost your friend, especially for the first few months. Like, I remember when I first became single, a few of my friends who were like my fun single friends went in a relationship, and I was like, no, literally now I have no one. Like, I've had points where all my friends were in good relationships, and it feels shit. You feel so alone. And I think that is important, that when you're in a relationship, you have good friends in relationships, and when you're single, you have good single friends. I'm not saying it can't work like both, of course it can, but it is having those little people to relate to as well. Also, when your friends in a relationship, there are 100% some things they are not going to be able to do. Like, say you're always out chatting to boys, going back to after parties, dancing with boys, whatever you and your friends do on a night out. Once they got a boyfriend, they can't do that, because that's just disrespectful. So some of the activities you do change, but only slightly. It doesn't mean you can't have a good friendship, obviously. Let them be, but if it goes on for like 3 to 6 months and they're never seeing you and they have completely changed, like whole ass personality transplant, then it's time to intervene and just say, hun, I love it that you have a boyfriend and you're so happy, but please, can we just make a little bit more time for friendship? And I'm sure they will not even realize and be like, shit, because they're on like cloud 9, they're in like the love clouds, and they're like, you sometimes need to be like, hey, remember me? And I'm sure they'll be happy to make more time for you. But sadly, it will change a little bit. Like, that is just the rules of life. A lot of you said that you really struggle to make new friends, which I can really relate to. The minute I moved to London, honestly, for about a year and a half, I had no friends. Like, I felt so isolated. I literally wanted to move home. Like, it was hell. Moving to a new city, or say you've become estranged to your old group of friends, like you've grown out of them and you need to make new ones, it can be really hard and really isolating. But it is possible. Like, I'm proof of it, and I do think it does get better, but you have to be actively trying to make friends. My best advice is you just need one friend. Make one friend and the rest rolls into place, because you can say to that friend, you know, I don't know anyone in the city, like, can you introduce me to some of your friends? Or they might bring you to a party and wham, you've made friends with their friends. Like, that is the easiest way that I meet people, is through other people. And please don't be scared to voice it. Like, if I've ever had someone say to me, like, I don't know a lot of people, or I'd love to get to know some of your friends, they look really cool, I'm like, yeah, come out with us. And like, it's so fun to like see your new friend and your old friends all getting on. Like, I loved my birthday just because everyone was getting on. I was like, oh, I love this, like, you all love me and I love you, and it was so fun. So that is the best one. But literally, you have to treat it like dating. Like, actively go out there, don't be scared of rejection. I've had it like twice where I've asked bloggers in London, like, hey, it was really nice to meet you at this event the other day, do you want to go for coffee? Most people say yeah, but I have had some girls just ignore me, and I'm like, cool, that's fine. Like, you have to just brush off the rejection as if it was like a date. Like, some people just aren't meant to be, and that's cool. Definitely, if you vibe in with someone that you've met, like, reach out. You have to really try. It takes a long time to build a friendship bond. Like, it's not just gonna happen over one coffee. You have to upkeep it and actively keep trying to see them. Ways to meet friends, I would say, obviously at work, if there's anyone you like at work, just try and go for lunches with them, insert yourself in their space. Any like groups, like the gym, like at Hills Dance, I started chatting to a girl, she was really sweet. Or art classes, reading groups, like there's so many things like that where you can meet women who want to bond. Also, there's a lot of Facebook groups. If you're like new girls in London wanting to go on nights out, there's loads of Facebook groups for each city that you live in, so definitely try that. I've also seen girls make friends on Bumble, is it, where you can chat to girls, so stuff like that is really cool. Or even like rekindling an old friendship, maybe from primary school or school, someone that you kind of know that you can just like reintroduce, like, oh my god, I haven't seen you for a while, babe, it would be great to meet up. There's so many ways, but you have to just actively pursue it, and I promise you, I know it feels like you're going to be lonely forever or have no friends forever, but it's not the case. We don't even know in our life all the great people that we're going to meet. Like, even this year, I've made like 3 new amazing friends, which I never would have had. So yeah. Now we're moving on to bitchiness and gossiping, which basically is very hard to find female friendships without this. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, gossiping is so bad, it's disgusting when people gossip. Like, it is actually very natural. It's in our human nature from cavemen times. It actually used to happen because it was actually a survival tactic back in those caveman times, because say there was a caveman coming to like threaten your tribe, you would tell the next group like, be careful with him because he came and like ate our berries and killed our kids or something. So it is actually human nature. It's a protective strategy to like warn people, but obviously it's not very healthy in this day and age. But there is a way to healthy gossip. Like, I think if it's little things like, oh my god, did you see her new house? Or my friends might talk about someone's pregnancy announcement, or I don't know, like it's part of life. I don't think you can completely avoid it because it is a normal part of a conversation. I think people are talking about more like bitchy gossiping, like rumors which become really toxic, which of course isn't nice and can just feel very low vibrational. And I think it's a thing girls do. Like, some girls, they just bond over their hatred for another girl, which that is not the basis for any good relationship. Like, I even noticed myself doing it a few years ago. I got really close with this girl, and it was only because we didn't really like another girl. And then when I look back at that, I'm like, that is so gross, and I really regret how I went about that whole situation. Not that we were ever mean to that girl, but it was just, yeah, it wasn't great. And it's hard at workplaces. Try not to gossip at work. Like, really try, because that can get you in a lot of shit. And I also, another little disclaimer, I think gossiping can be different to venting. Like, sometimes when someone's upset you, it is very normal to call up a friend and be like, oh my god, like so-and-so has really upset me, she said this, and you're asking for advice, like, I don't know how to go about it. Again, I think that's different to gossiping. But I would say if you're finding that your friend group or one of your friends is doing it constantly, you do just have to try and cut it off, or like let them talk, but then try and keep changing the subject. But if you're finding it really hard to be around them, maybe, I don't know, maybe they're not the right friend for you. If you don't engage in it with them, hopefully they will get the hint and stop doing it as much. The next one is about drifting or struggling to stay close when you feel like it's one-sided, or also when someone's getting too codependent on you and you don't have, you know, the time or effort to keep it up. And again, I think adult life just hits us all hard, and we all have different boundaries, different times, different amounts of effort we can put into our friendships, like, and we have to also remember that. Like, I have some friends, I know they have really hard jobs, they have a boyfriend, they have really involved families. Like, I know if I text them, I'm not gonna get a reply that day, maybe not even that week, and that's okay. You just learn which friends are doing it because they're rude, or which friends are just doing it because that's their social battery, okay? And there's some weeks where I'm great, I like want to text everyone, I'm like, guess what happened, blah, blah, blah. And there's some weeks like people are like, are you okay? Haven't fucking heard from you. I'm like, oh shit. Like, life's hard, man. Like, life fucks with us, and we just have to allow a lot more space for our friends. But you do also need to make sure that it is being reciprocated, and sometimes it might be you doing more and them doing less, but you want it to kind of be equal, which is easier said than done. Please make sure you are trying, but don't get burnt out trying to force something that's not being reciprocated from the other side, because you do deserve more than that. And if you find that someone is needing your time or attention too much, honestly, one of my friends, she's a fucking legend at doing this. Like, she will just say things like she took a break from social media and she didn't message anyone for a month, and I'm like, sweet, like, you're looking after yourself and your mental health, and none of us expected her to text us for a month and it was fine. Like, she knew we cared about her and she knew she needed a break, so that's good. Like, that is very healthy. And then another friend, I know that she expects texts a little quicker. I know it makes her feel really shitty if we don't reply like quick enough, so I do personally try and make a little bit more effort to text her back quicker, whereas with some friends I know that we're going to be cool whether we text in a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and a quick like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, like loads of shit has been getting in the way. But make sure you have healthy boundaries. You can just say to someone, hey, like, because work's so hard, or you don't even need to make an excuse. Like, if you're just not someone that wants to be texting on your phone every night, that's fine. Just say, I don't really have like the capacity to text on my phone every night, but just know that I love you and I get back to you as soon as you can, and I'm sorry that I can't be a quicker texter. Do you know what I mean? And eventually it'll even out and you'll work it out. It'll be okay. This one is another classic. Lots of drama in big friend groups. This used to happen to me so much when I was younger. Like, every time the group chat would be popping, someone's arguing, someone's not talking to Sally. Like, it was fucking draining. But I think especially when you're younger and in bigger groups, this is always gonna be there. It's pretty inevitable, sadly, when a lot of girls get together, that there's just gonna be some kind of drama, but it's on you whether you decide to, you know, subscribe to it, get involved with it. Like, you are in control of yourself. You can just be like, nah. I honestly can say there is no fucking drama in my life to do with friends, and I'm so thankful for that, because I don't even know what we'd all do if there was drama. We'd just be like, what? Like, it doesn't happen. Things that happen, we sort it out there and then we just move on. It doesn't really escalate into like a group chat crazy vibes. I think a lot of people do this, and I definitely got involved in this when I was younger, or started shit when I was younger, because it's like a thrill. When people are bored, it is like, I don't know, it's like this weird kind of sick and twisted excitement people get out of creating random dramas. A lot of our lives, let's be honest, are quite mundane and boring, so when you have something going on in your friend group, it gives you a reason to get all fired up. I don't know the psychology behind it, but yeah, I think it's people searching for a thrill, which is sad because it's very draining, and I hope these people find peace. You have to just actively ask yourself, why am I getting involved? Like, what is this bringing to me? If you truly do not want to be involved, you are in control to just not reply, or just say, look guys, you know, try and be Switzerland, be like, look guys, I love you all, I'm not getting involved, or like, yeah, just don't even read the messages. And once you become the person that doesn't get involved, you sort of get that reputation of, yeah, she doesn't get involved in the drama, and people will still be your friend, but they'll know. Like, when me and Courtney were younger, we used to snap at each other so much. It was honestly like, we would just argue on nights out. And even now, like, Meg, when me and Courtney have a little moment, Meg's just like, we don't even ask Meg, because Meg will never get involved, and she's the Switzerland friend. Like, she doesn't get involved in our shit, and it's always worked like that. She doesn't get dragged into it, and then me and Courtney just naturally sort out on our own, and we know Meg is not the one to go to when we're having a little paddy, okay? Just have to take a breath and rise above it, because we just want a drama-free life. Like, your friends should be the ones you go to have fun, not like more stresses on an already stressful life. Finally, the one I'm gonna finish on is the one I honestly, this one stresses me out the most, and this one is the main reason I've cut off most people in the past, and it's people who are not there for you during the bad times and don't clap during the good times. And I don't give a fuck. These people are just red flags. They are just huge red flags, and they can't stand to see you succeed, and that's not a friend. They haven't worked on their sister wound, they haven't worked on their jealousy, and they just fucking can't stand it. Like I said, if you're healed and doing the work, your friend doing well will bring you so much joy and excitement, and it won't make you question your own self-worth. And I do feel sad because these people just, they're struggling. Like, I'm sure there's been times in the past where I wasn't happy for my friends, and it's because I was probably in a dark place. And then also, when friends aren't there for you during a bad time, I think some people don't have like the emotional maturity or capacity to know how to be there for someone. I'm not saying they're a bad person. Some people didn't learn this, like didn't learn how to be there for someone, or they're just a good time friend. Like, they're not going to be there when you're struggling. They just want to be there when you're like out partying. To me, it doesn't feel like a true friend. It might be like an acquaintance. Like, I'll still fuck with you or have fun, but it's not someone I would call a friend who I can rely on. Like, the whole point of being a friend is being able to like lift each other up and get each other through struggles. And really, like, we deserve better, and I think you just have to work out what you want from a friendship and not really settle for less. Like, we deserve good friends who are there for us and clap for us, because that's what being a good friend is all about. But yeah, I would love to hear your opinion on any of these issues, or if you have any advice, because a lot of this is just from my own experience and I love hearing your friendship stories so much. Thank you so much to everyone who sent one in and for watching this video, and I hope you have a lovely week and wishing you all the good drama-free friendships.